October 16th, this video is titled World War III, Albert Pike's Letter to Giuseppe Mazzini. I'm going to read you the Albert Pike letter here in a short bit, looking for the trigger of World War III, and I think I found it. I also tried to start this video with the proper spelling, and they wouldn't allow me to do it, so I had to mix up the spelling to be able to bring this to you now. So I'm going to tell you about Giuseppe, then I'll tell you about Albert Pike, and then I'll read you his letter. Giuseppe Mazzini was born 1805 and died 1872 in Italy. He was a propagandist and a founder of the secret revolutionary society, A Young Italy, and a champion of the movement for Italian unity known as Risorgimento. All right. Now, I'm going to read you the Albert Pike biography. Early life and education. Pike was born in Boston, Massachusetts, son of Ben and Sarah Andrews Pike, and spent his childhood in Bayfield, Newburyport, Massachusetts. His colonial ancestors included John Pike, the founder of Woodbridge, New Jersey. He attended school in Newburyport. In August 1825, he passed his entrance exam and was accepted at Harvard University. Though when the college requested payment for tuition fee for the first 2 years, he chose not to attend. He began a program of self-education, later became a school teacher in Gloucester, North Bend, Fairhaven, and Newburyport. In 1831, Pike left Massachusetts to travel west, first stopping in St. Louis and later moving on to the Independence, Missouri. In Independence, he joined the expedition to Taos, New Mexico, hunting and trading. During his excursion on his horse broke and ran, forcing Pike to walk the remaining 500 miles to Taos. After this, he joined a trapping expedition in Llano Estacado in New Mexico and Texas. Trapping was minimal, and after traveling about 1,300 miles, 650 on foot, he finally arrived at Fort Smith, Arkansas, settling in Arkansas in 1833. He taught school and wrote a series of articles for the Little Rock, Arkansas Advocate under the pen name Cassica. The articles were popular enough that he was asked to join the staff of the newspaper. Later, after marrying Mary Ann Hamilton, he purchased part of the newspaper with the dowry. By 1835, he was the Advocate's sole owner. Under Pike's administration, the Advocate promoted the viewpoint of the Whig Party, in a politically volatile and divided Arkansas. He was the first reporter for the Arkansas Supreme Court. He wrote a book published anonymously titled The Arkansas Form Book, which was a guidebook for lawyers. Pike began to study law and was admitted to the bar in 1837, selling the Advocate the same year. Just one more page. After the war, Pike returned to practice law, moving to New Orleans for the time being in 1853. He wrote another book, Maxims of Roman Law and Some of the Ancient French Law, as expounded and applied in the doctrine of jurisprudence. American Civil War. In 1861, Pike penned the lyrics to Dixie to Arms. At the beginning of the war, Pike was appointed as Confederate envoy to the Native Americans. In this capacity, he negotiated several treaties, one of the most important being with the Cherokee chief John Ross. At the time, Ross agreed to support the Confederacy, which promised the tribes a Native American state if it won the war. Ross later changed his mind and left Indian Territory, but succeeding Cherokee government maintained the alliance. Pike was commissioned a brigadier general on November 22nd, 1861, and given the command in the Indian Territory with General B. McCulloch. Pike trained 3 Confederate regiments of Indian cavalry, most of whom belonged to the civilized tribes, whose loyalty to the Confederacy was variable. Although initially victorious at the Battle of Pea Ridge, Elkhorn Tavern, in March 1862, Pike's unit was defeated later in a counterattack after failing into disarray. When Pike was ordered in May 1862 to send troops to Arkansas, he resigned in protest. As in the previous war, Pike came into conflict with his superior officers, at one time drafting a letter to Jefferson Davis complaining about his direct superior. By the way, just side note, I'm sorry this is boring. After Pea Ridge, Pike was faced with charges that his Native American troops had scalped soldiers in the field. Major General Thomas Hinman also charged Pike with mishandling money and material, ordering his arrest. Both these changes were later found to be considered lacking in evidence. Nevertheless, Pike, facing arrest, escaped into the hills of Arkansas, sending his resignation from the Confederate States Army on July 12. He was at length arrested on November 3rd under charges of insubordination and treason and held briefly in Warren, Texas. His resignation was accepted November 11th and was allowed to return to Arkansas. Here's the good part. Freemasonry. Pike first joined the Fraternal Independent Order of Odd Fellows in 1840. He next joined a Masonic lodge where he became extremely active in affairs of the organization. In 1859, he was elected commander for the remaining of his life, a total devoting a large amount of his time to developing the rituals of the order. Notably, he published a book called The Morals and Dogma of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry in 1871, of which there were several subsequent editions. This helped the order grow during the 19th century. He also researched and wrote the seminal thesis Indo-Aryan Deities and Worship as contained in the Rig Veda. In America, Pike is still considered the eminent and influential Freemason, primarily in the Scottish Rite Southern jurisdiction. Death and legacy. Pike died in Washington, D.C. at age 81, was buried at Oak Hill Cemetery. Burial was against his wishes. He had left instructions for his body to be cremated. In 1944, his remains were moved to the House of the Temple, headquarters of the southern jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite. A memorial to Pike is located in the Judiciary Square neighborhood of Washington, D.C. He is the only Confederate military officer with an outdoor statue in Washington, D.C. All right. Now the letters. So Albert Pike letter to Mazzini. The Illuminati plan for 3 world wars, August 15th, 1871. The following is a letter that speculation claimed that Albert Pike wrote to Giuseppe Mazzini in 1871 regarding a conspiracy involving 3 world wars that were planned. This letter has been claimed by many internet sites to reside in the British Library in London, which denies the letter's existence. Giuseppe Mazzini was an Italian revolutionary leader in the mid-1800s, as well as the director of the Illuminati. Was a 33-degree Mason, occultist, Grand Master, and creator of the southern jurisdiction of the Masonic Scottish Rite Order. Following are apparently extracts from the letters showing how 3 world wars have been planned for many generations. The good stuff. The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the Agentur, agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments in order to weaken the religions. The Second World War. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute sovereign state of Israel and Palestine. During the Second War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held back in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the adjuncture of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political state of Israel mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations want the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of the revolutionaries of civilization and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose dissect spirits will form the moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer brought fully out in public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Woo! That's a mouthful. That's it. Okay. So let me read some little pieces of this to tell you where I think is going to happen shortly. A third world war must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the adjuncture of the Illuminati between political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. And so right now, Joe Biden is picking a fight with the Saudis. And I didn't know that Saudi Arabia's religion is Islam. So I just learned that today. I thought it was. I wasn't sure. Just double checking. And so the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. That doesn't say one side will win. It means both will be destroyed. So I think we got Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Iran over here. And the Arab world will come together to fight Israel in the north. And America and Israel will be a unit fighting Islam in the Middle East. I can see this happening now. Joe Biden is saying dangerous things. He tried to make a deal with the Saudis. They don't want to sell us more oil. And I'm not sure exactly what words were said, but I just saw some Arabs from the kingdom of Saudi Arabia saying, you know, if you're going to fight, don't be saying shit like that. You're basically starting a fight with us and we'll fucking kill you. And I was like, oh, the Albert Pike letter, it's happening. So this makes sense. So the leaders of the Arab world are the most wealthy in my mind, and that would be Saudi Arabia. So I would say we need to be walking on eggshells with this Saudi Arabia situation. However, we've got Joe Biden as our leader right now, and he hasn't been doing a very good job. And I think he's secretly trying to start a war with the Arabs. So this could be the beginning of World War III. I've been looking for this moment. I mean, I've been thinking, how is it going to start? Is it going to be Iran attacking Israel? And this seems to be more plausible. Like, we really need this oil. We're suffering because we don't have cheap gasoline and diesel right now. Ice in many places is $6, so it's expensive. And the Saudis are cutting back their production, and that's hurting us. That's also going to hurt the Democrats in this election. So I think that's why Joe Biden is using sharp words. And, you know, the world is teetering with nuclear war with Russia, and then the Saudis are partnering with Russia. So this could be the moment that it happens. That's really all I wanted to say in this video. So thanks for hearing me out. That took 17 minutes. Hello, Spider Wheel and Greek. Yes, I am doing better. I'm very grateful. A few supporters have donated some money. I received $25 today from a supporter. And if you donate money and you want me to keep you anonymous, I will. If you want me to mention your name, I'm happy to also. But right now, these people are anonymous. I received $360 Sunday, like on Friday or so. So I'm super grateful for this money. And it's going to just pay bills to keep me going. Some of my next steps are I have for my election, for the bidding for president, I have to file the papers with the Federal Election Commission and open a bank account. And I found a person who's willing to be my the first employee of the campaign. And his job is to report to the Federal Election Commission the monies that I raise. And you have to do this on a frequent basis. I'm not sure exactly. I think it's every 2 months. It could be every month. I can't accept more than $2,700 from individuals, and I'm allowed to accept unlimited money from corporations. That's what I know about that. Greek says, UN's second biggest army. I'm not sure who the second biggest army is you're talking about. The UN is the second biggest army, next to America, the United Nations. That's right. That's right. My gut tells me we're going to have a war, mostly because nothing's working out really well. The media is perpetually lying to us. The stock market's not responding to traditional economic indicators. Even words like recession. 2 subsequent quarters of negative growth is a recession, and now they don't want to call it a recession. They're trying to rewrite language. And anytime somebody tries to rewrite language, that means they don't want to follow the rules. They want to manipulate and lie to the population. So I just feel we're in a situation where there's high propaganda, high treason. No Turks, and the UN's second biggest army, if they flip it, it all goes bad. Yeah, the Turks I think saying might side with the Saudis. I think that's what you're saying. Yeah, they're ready to make it Russia. I agree with you. Russia's got a lot to offer. They've got territory, they got technology. Like we got some production problems here. Hold on. If the war goes bad and they get nuked, maybe Russia says, well, you can move over to my territory. I don't know. I'm using a light. That's not staying up so well. This is hilarious. There we go. Yeah, Greek, you and I understand each other. And why would the Turks want to side with Europe anyways? The Turks are Islam. So that whole area, the Middle East, needs to be unified. And they need to get the other people the fuck out of there. We, the West, have been in the Middle East. I've always said this. America's goal was to destabilize the region so the local population and governments couldn't get their act together. So we forced them to sell us their oil for pennies on the dollar. The government would say, well, you should pay us more. And then we'd say something like, but your place is so fucked up. It's always war and everybody's fighting each other. And this is the best offer you're going to get. And we're going to give you special privileges and we'll take care of you if the shit hits the fan. And they're like, okay, we'll do it. So, and meanwhile, we're the ones creating these wars. We're doing false flags. We're creating proxy armies. We're creating terror. We, America, are the creators of Middle East terrorism. Yeah. I don't want to talk too much more about any of this. I mean, I just wanted to be really concise with this video that we need to be on the watch and the lookout that the Third World War could start in the Middle East. And, you know, if I was in Israel, I would take a big vacation. I'd get the fuck out of Israel. That place is most likely, according to Albert Pike, and this guy's loved, and the first two wars happened like he said, and the Freemasonry around the world is stronger than ever. So these people are in power, and they have the means and the wherewithal to execute this plan. I don't, you don't, they do. Yeah. Okay, two viewers, Spider Will and Greek. I'm closing this up. Have a good Sunday, and I'll see you during the week. I didn't mean to sneeze. See you later.